everyone, and welcome to my channel, My Design Life. My name is Maisha, and on this channel, what you will find are simple DIYs, home decor, lifestyle, just to name a few. Today, I'm going to be working on these centerpieces for my daughter's upcoming 6th birthday party. She is having a soccer themed birthday party, so I'm going to be creating a really easy centerpiece that's not very expensive. It does require a little bit of DIY, but for the most part, you should be able to complete this with ease. So I talked to her a little bit about it, and she told me what she would like to have as props in the centerpiece. So we decided to go with a heart soccer ball. I was gonna do a round soccer ball, but she suggested that we do the heart soccer ball. We have a jersey that has her name on it and her age that she's turning, which is 6. And we also have a little pom-pom here. And this is just actually a bow. These are bows that you can use for packages. These are from the Dollar Tree. I'm gonna go over a list of the supplies so that you guys can see that, again, this is very simple and this is very cost effective, especially if you have a bunch of tables to do. I am doing 10 of these, so I wanted to keep the cost as minimal as possible. Just keep in mind that this list is not absolute. You do not have to use these items. You can change it up a little bit based on what you want your centerpiece to look like. So the first thing I'm gonna use for my centerpiece, you are going to need a base to hold your props. I went ahead and I found these at Dollar Tree. These are in the catering section. I believe these are like plastic ice buckets. So these, I believe, were $2 a piece. I also grabbed a variety of bows, so package bows, and I chose coordinating colors for the party. These are like $1.25 a piece. Most of these bows come you get 2 for $1.25. So I grabbed a bunch of these in the greens and the pinks, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with those. You are going to need skewers. So we've got these are just regular size skewers. These are also from the Dollar Tree. I believe these are still $1.25. You know, Dollar Tree has changed their pricing, so some things are more than what they typically would be. So don't quote me on the prices, but I believe these were $1.25. I also have some streamer. These are from Dollar Tree as well. Streamer, I believe, is $1.25 a piece. Coordinating colors to go with the bows that I'm using. Again, you can use whatever color you're using for your party. I've got some tissue paper in coordinating colors. These are from Dollar Tree. And I also got the floral foam for dried flowers from Dollar Tree as well. And these are $1.25. These are separated in blocks of 4. I would say go ahead and get the ones that are already separated if you can. If your Dollar Tree does not have the blocks that are already cut, you can buy one that is a single block and then just cut them as you need them. You're also going to need a hot glue gun or some type of glue. Hot glue is going to work best for what it is that we're doing here. And then you're also going to need your props. So these are props that this one I actually created on my own. So I designed and created this one. So it's a soccer jersey with my daughter's name and her upcoming age. And then this one is a soccer ball. This image is from Creative Fabrica. I just downloaded it and then sized it to the size that I needed it to be, and then cut it out on my cutting machine. So we've got, one more thing that we're going to use. Well, we have 2 more things. So we're going to use some packing paper, some brown packing paper. This is going to be stuffed inside of the bucket, and you'll see what I do with this once I'm putting them together. And I also am going to be using some puck lights to light up the centerpiece. You do not have to buy those. You do not have to use those. I already have those, so I'm going to go ahead and use those, but that is optional. I just feel like it's going to give it something a little bit extra, and I like extra, so that's what we're going to be doing. Now that we've got all of our supplies, we're going to go ahead and start putting these together. I forgot to mention in the supplies list that you're also going to need tape. I'm going to use masking tape, but you can also use Scotch tape. If you have Scotch tape, use Scotch tape. If you have masking tape, use masking tape. And we're going to go ahead and start assembling these centerpieces. So first thing I want to do is add the skewers and the sticks to the props. I printed and cut out front and back because I like both sides to have an image. If you only want to do one side, you can. I'm going to go ahead and start with the skewer. Got a couple of skewers. And I've already made a couple of these, so I have a pretty good idea of the height that I need the stick to be on the prop. So I've got my skewer and I'm gonna sandwich these. So I'm just gonna take my skewer and add a piece of tape. Okay, you're gonna take your tape and you're going to attach your stick to the prop like so. And then I'm going to use just a little bit of hot glue to glue the second piece of image to the first piece. So the bottom piece to the top. Let me move my coffee. I have to keep my coffee nearby. Okay. So I'm gonna use just a little bit. You don't want to use a lot of glue because if you use a lot of glue, you can see the glue on the image depending on the weight of your cardstock. So I'm just gonna gently press down. Okay, so as you can see, we've got our, and I'm using the pointy side down. I'm gonna just make it easier for you to insert the prop into the foam. Next thing that we need to do is create the third prop, which is going to be a pom-pom stick. And these need to be a little bit taller than these two because I want them to sit a little bit higher in the bucket. So I am taking 2 skewers and I am going to make them into one long skewer. Just take some tape. And I'm just going to secure it in a couple of spots so that the skewers stay together. So I'm securing it towards the top, and then I'll do the middle and I'll do the bottom. You don't need a lot of tape. It's not holding something heavy, so you don't have to get too crazy with it. You only need a little bit of tape. Now, if it was holding something heavier, I would have just purchased the bigger skewers, the really long skewers, the heavier ones that would be able to accommodate holding a heavier item. And I have 3, so I'm going to do a green one. So now what I'm going to do, I want to camouflage this stick. I'm not worried about camouflaging these 2 sticks because they sit fairly low in the bucket and they'll be very difficult to see the wood. You don't have to hide the wood if you don't want to. I'm choosing to do that just because I don't like the way the wood looks with the colors in the bucket. So I'm just going to put a little hot glue on the tip of the stick. I'm going to add my crepe streamer. And as you can see, I'm just going to start wrapping it downwards. And I don't want it loose, so make sure you're holding the crepe paper, the streamer, make sure you're holding it fairly tight so that you don't end up with a bunch of lumps and bumps. And all I'm doing is winding it down the length of the skewers. And of course, where I secured the 2 together, it will be a little bit thicker there, but that doesn't matter. You won't really be able to see that. So I'm just winding it down, wrapping it around all the way down to the bottom. Again, make sure you hold it fairly tight so that it lays flat. And you actually don't even have to go all the way down to the end, because again, this end portion is going to be stuck into the floral foam. So you don't have to go all the way down to the end. If you stop a little bit up, it's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and use just a little bit of hot glue to secure that bottom. And then once that's secure, and I know that's secure, I will just tear off the remaining. Next up is adding one of the bows to the skewer. I'm gonna use this one. So I like the way this one looks. These do come on like a piece of cardboard. You have a couple of options here. You can remove the bow from the cardboard piece and attach it with hot glue and just stick it directly on. Or you can keep the cardboard tab that keeps this bow, it's like stapled together, and then you can bring it around, kind of wrap it around here and glue it so that it's secure in its spot without the possibility of removing the staple. So it's kind of up to you. With this one, I'm gonna go ahead and leave on the paper tab, and I'm just gonna put some hot glue in the center here. So I'm gonna add my hot glue here. And I'm gonna set my skewer in here into the glue. So it's gonna take just a couple of seconds to dry a little bit. So as you see, I've got my skewer set down in there. Then I'm gonna take more glue and I am going to run it along the edge there and fold over this piece of the cardboard. And be very careful with your hot glue because it will burn you. So be careful when you're doing this. Mine gets pretty hot, so actually I have a high temp, low temp gun, and I'm using it on high temp right now. Another supply you may need is scissors. So I'm gonna trim this just a little bit. And then I'm going to add the last of the hot glue and I'm just sandwiching in the piece of paper. And again, be very, very careful when you're wrapping this hot glue. You can let it dry just a little bit just to be on the safe side, or you can use your scissors to hold it down, to press down, so that way you don't have to touch the glue so you don't burn yourself. Okay, so mine is attached here, and I don't like the way this white paper tab is showing. So I'm going to get another piece of streamer and I am going to wrap that around, and I'm going to cover up this white paper with the streamer so you won't see it. It'll be concealed. And I'm just gonna, don't need a lot. Again, you don't need a lot at all. Not for streamer. Streamer is extremely thin. So all I'm doing here is wrapping the streamer around so that I can conceal that white tab there. And I'm going to glue it on the inside so that you don't see the excess. And you can actually just tear the excess off, but I'm going to use just a little bit of glue here to secure this piece here, and then I will, as you can see, I covered it up, and I'm just going to take my scissors and cut off the excess streamer here. You can also tear it if you want. So now you see we've got our pom-pom that will be going inside the bucket. It's one of our props, and I'll probably curl these up just a little bit more with my scissors because some of them are hanging just a little bit low, but I'll do that once I complete the assembly of the bucket. The next thing that we need to do is create the base for the prop sticks to stick into. So I've got the floral foam block here. I'm going to be using another green tissue paper. So I've got a green tissue paper, 2 sets of green tissue paper. I'm going to use 2 sheets of paper for each bucket. So for this one, I've got my foam block. I'm just gonna add a little bit of hot glue. You do not need a lot. This is tissue paper. You don't need a lot to attach this to tissue paper. So just use just a little bit of glue, and we're gonna set that in the center. Press down, and as you can see, it's attached. You're gonna take your second tissue paper, and you're going to kind of put it on the diagonal of the first tissue paper. And again, you're going to just add a little bit of hot glue to your foam block. If you don't put too much, you can reuse these. If you ever have to make another one, you can reuse it. You can reuse it because you just snatch the tissue paper off. Okay, so now you see we've got both pieces of tissue paper attached to our foam block. Now what we're going to do, we're going to fold up the sides of the tissue paper on the block. We're going to take our bucket and we're going to set this down inside of the bucket. I'm going to push this down gently. I do not want to tear my tissue paper, so gently push it down. And because this bucket is fairly deep, I don't have to glue this into the bucket. It will stay in place. What I'm going to put in is the tallest, and I'm going to position that towards the back of the foam block. You're going to press it all the way down into the block. Again, this one, I don't really like the curls on this one too much. I'm going to make a little bit of changes on the curls, but that's okay. And then we've got our second prop, which is the soccer ball. I'm positioning that one more towards the side. And then we've got the jersey, and we're going to position that one on the other side, opposite of the soccer ball heart. You're going to gently push these down. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my packing paper. I'm going to tear off a piece of this packing paper, and you can see down inside, I don't know if y'all can see, but if you can see down in there, we've got a lot of empty space, obviously. So I'm going to take this packing paper and I'm going to stuff this down in here to kind of keep these sticks from wobbling around everywhere. So you want to just use your packing paper to secure your sticks, just so they're not wonky and wobbling. I'm going to put a little bit behind this big one in the back, because it actually is, this one is a little heavy. It's heavier than the other ones that I've used, so it's moving around a little bit. Okay, now, so we've got our packing paper. I don't know if y'all can see this. Let me move this. We got our packing paper stuff down in here, and then our last step is going to be adding some streamer inside on top of the packing paper so that it will cover up that brown paper. We're just going to rip some pieces off and we are going to set it inside, and that's all. I'm gonna show you inside. This is what the inside looks like. So the brown paper is covered up. The last step is going to be adding in this puck light. This one is color changing. I do have remotes for these, but I believe I can get green. I'm gonna set green as the color. And these will be set just right here. So it'll be illuminated just a little bit here. And we are done. Now, I've got some more to complete. Y'all tell me what you think about these. Actually, let me show y'all. I'm gonna curl the ribbon just a little bit if I can. Curl these a little tighter. You just wanna take your scissors and run it along your ribbon, and that will tighten your curls. Somehow I managed to delete the final footage of this video. Don't ask me how, I don't know. But nevertheless, if this is something that you enjoyed, please consider coming back and subscribe to my channel. Like and comment, I would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, remember to create the world that you desire to live in. Bye.